Hey everybody, welcome back to Change Your Perspective, Change Your Awareness, Change Your Life. Dr. Michelina, hashtag that felon doctor, here to talk to you about wounds that are now, we're branching from more personal, individualized wounds to larger societal, very grand wounds. Now, the next four things I want to talk about in this series are the church wound, the political wound, the education wound, and the financial wound. These are things that are great dividers. Okay, they are great dividers. And I don't care what anybody tells you, they are not equalizers. They are things that cause division among the Commonwealth at large. And we will talk about why that is over the next few days. The church wound is where I want to start. It is one of the wounds that I see a lot of in people that come to me. Church and education are the two, and that is because I have experience in both. I grew up as an altar server. I grew up as a Roman Catholic. I made all of my sacraments, confirmation, reconciliation, all that stuff. I have a confirmation name. I don't really use it, but I do have it. So I've been all through the Roman Catholic system. And when I talk about religion, the church wound, I'm talking about the traditions of man. Anything that is a system in place where you can go to church for an hour and you can study whatever you want to study as long as the preacher is telling you it. And that doesn't have to be Roman Catholicism. That can be anything. Lutheran, Protestant, Jewish, you go to synagogue. Like, if there are traditions of man, I'm going to talk about it as religion. Now, when I think I was 12. We entered a new parish. We moved. And they were like, if you don't pay the $5 for your envelopes, you're going to get kicked out of this church. I knew at 12 years old that there was something corrupt about that system. That's not where God is. Joyce Meyer says it all the time. She's like, you can sit in a garage all you want. You're not going to be a car. It's not very different. You can sit in a church pew all you want. Doesn't make you a Christian. Now, the church wound doesn't necessarily have to be a Christ wound. I find a lot of times it is. I find this happens a lot more in the monotheistic religions than the polytheistic ones. And I will say that that's probably because there's a truth that vibrates. There's a wisdom that vibrates. There's a otherworldliness about the text that grounds the Christian faiths that isn't present in other faiths. There is a lot of research that has been done scientifically on the Bible, and the odds of it existing are very slim. And so there's a reason why it is always the most purchased book. There's a reason why it is something that is always pregnant. You can always learn more from it. There's a lot of reasons for that. So the church wound is something that exists because there's a lot of hope that people need. And when you need hope, you also have this endless capacity for false hope. Now, I've talked about this before, hope and false hope, on a different video on a different day. And so when we have something that can give us hope, truth, life, love, wisdom, there has to be an equal and opposite counter to that. So that is why if you look at the church, and by the church, I mean religion in general, it is mass chaos, mass confusion, mass confusion. Even Christians who claim to believe the Bible, as an example, haven't read the book, haven't done the firsthand research, believe in things that are fundamentally untrue and impossible, i.e., any Christian who tells you that this earth is 6,000 years old doesn't know the book. Because, that's not factual. That's not true. And that's absurd. So, no. The church wound is one that is prevalent in a lot of people because there's a lot of indoctrination in the church. There is a lot of indoctrination in all four of these systems that I'm going to talk to you about today. And because we're talking about the church, Revelation does tell us, the book of Revelation in the Christian Bible does tell us there are 4 hidden dynasties that Satan uses to cause corruption on this earth. And you want to guess which ones they are? Of course, they're the ones we're talking about. Church, religion, church, financial, political and church. No, school, education, right? There are 4 things that really can cause division among the people. So the church wound is very, very, very prevalent. Whenever you have, and this is just a word to the wise for anybody who has a church family, whenever you have a church, and I don't care what kind of denomination it is, if they care more about rules, regulations, and traditions, you want to beware of that. Any church that cares more about the, I was going to call it a palace, right? But more about the place, that's better, and less about the people. Any church that cares more about the place and less about the people, you're going to want to watch out for. You're going to want to watch out for that, because the whole point of a church is to be there for the people. So when institutions stop caring about the people and they only care about themselves, you're in a corrupt organization. And you want to pay attention not by words but by actions. So if you are in a church that is, the people are belittling, scorning, ostracizing, doing small-minded, petty things, you are in a corrupt church system. Just going to tell you that. And I'm trying very hard here to not base this in any one faith. Okay, I don't want to do that. But I do want to say what the church wound has done, and that's any church, has put the onus, has put the importance on the building, the structure, the tradition, and not on the relationship that you're supposed to have with whatever deity you believe in. Okay, so that is problematic. Now, I'm going to speak from my own examples like I always do. I am a Christian. Now, I have been a Christian since I'm at least 17 or 18. Well, that's okay. Technically, I've been a Christian my whole life, right? I've always loved Christ, blah, blah, blah. Roman Catholicism is still Christianity under the broadest of terms. I don't tend to think so, but technically it is. Christ is at the center of it, so fine. Again, with the Roman Catholic Church specifically, it is very much a tradition of man. They're very much about their traditions and very little about Christ. For me, the problem with the Roman Catholic Church specifically, and again, I'm only speaking from my experience, is that if you claim to believe in a doctrine, you better spend 99% of your time talking about that doctrine. I.e., if it's an hour service, 59 minutes better be literally learning out of the book you believe in. I don't understand, and I never have and I never will, why, you read 3 minutes of a Paul to the Corinthians, and then you have a preacher talk about it for an hour with their own experiences and their own bullshit. And I was like, what am I learning here? What am I learning out of the Word of God? And the answer is nothing. I don't care about your Aunt Sally that got converted. Like, that doesn't matter to me. Aunt Sally's not in the book. So, no thanks. So, you want to investigate whatever church it is. Now, most people, by the time they get to like my age, they've already got the church wound. That they were mistreated by the church in some way, or they were indoctrinated in a way that was really problematic. Now that I'm in the South, I see there's so much in the Bible Belt where it's just like the Christians cling on to their one version of reality and then they indoctrinate everybody with it. And it's like, you haven't read the book, And so to anybody and everybody who has a church wound, whatever the church is, I don't care if it's a mosque, I don't care if it's a synagogue, I don't care if it's a church in the traditional Christian sense, it doesn't matter to me. I don't care what you believe in. What I would say is find the fundamental text that church believes in and read it for yourself and find out the truth of the matter. Because I will tell you, when I lead people through the Bible, which I do on my other YouTube channel, there are things that people don't know about because they haven't read it. And then when you piece it together logically, you're like, oh, First off, it literally says that. Second off, oh, that makes more sense logically. Really, whatever you believe in should make sense. If it doesn't, then why do you believe in it? on the flip side, if you refuse to believe in something because you had a bad experience with it when you were younger, which is a lot of the times the church wound, you're just angry and you're just functioning out of a place of woundedness. And that is the real problem with the church wound, is that people get confused, and instead of investigating, what do I believe in? Why am I upset about this? What is going on with this? Instead, they're like, oh, I hate everything and I hate everybody and I don't believe in this and I don't believe in that and blah, blah, blah. And really what that is lazy. It's lazy. I've had talks with people before who are like, oh, well, that's not in the Bible. I'm like, yo, you haven't read the book. You can't argue with me about a book you haven't read. And that's also like just me as a literary teacher. Like as an English teacher, I'm not going to talk to you about a book you don't know about. Likewise, I'm not going to try to argue with someone about something I don't know about. If you're telling me about a car and I know nothing about cars, that's true. I'm not going to say you're wrong. I'll be like, you have a better idea than I do because I do not know. So that's the problem with the church wound, is that everybody is loud and nobody is educated. Everybody is steeped in tradition and belief that they've gotten passed down, but nobody's actually done the research for themselves. I'm always a fan of somebody who's like, yeah, I don't believe in this and here's why, and I've done this. No problem. That's cool. Love that for you. Totally respectable. Anybody who's just spouting out what oh, well, I believe in this because Grandpappy believed in this. I'm like, yeah, try again. Okay, have some free thought. Thanks. The church wound is problematic because, like anything, it indoctrinates you with beliefs that aren't necessarily yours and aren't even necessarily true to the thing that's supposed to be the belief. You might be believing in traditions of man, things that were put in place by people that aren't even in the word or the book or whatever it is that the religion is based off of, right? And the other thing for me always is it's not religion, it needs to be relationship. Whatever you believe in, and I don't care what it is, if you don't have a relationship with that entity, or if you're polytheistic entities, then there's problems there. And the other thing is, you're like, oh, well, I don't want to have a relationship with any creator. I don't believe in anything. I'm atheistic. I'm agnostic. I'm all these things. That's fine. Cool by me. Find something to believe in and have a relationship with that's outside of yourself, because there are things out in this world that are bigger than you. And everything is, actually. So if you're trying to make yourself the center of your own universe, beware. There's too much unexplored in yourself that you don't know about. You can't see yourself clearly. So if you're trying to rely on yourself, you're going to be up Schitt's Creek without a paddle. Okay? This is why I always say, for all things natural, look to nature. If nothing else, you can pay attention to nature and how it functions and learn more about yourself. That's what they did, the Transcendentalists. That's what they did, Thoreau, Emerson. You go out into nature, you'll learn a lot about the self because we reflect in nature. But again, the church wound has put a lot of faith in tradition and taken a lot of faith out of things that actually matter. And so that's why a lot of us walk around with the church wound, and now we're just mad at whatever we were brought up to believe in, because it stifled us, it limited us. And again, hey, this is the other thing, which is problematic about institutions. If they close down the narrative, if they make you small, if they keep you ashamed, if they keep you in bondage, you want to investigate. That's not freedom. That's not what we're supposed to have. So if there's only rules, regulations, now I'm not saying you shouldn't have boundaries and standards, because everybody should. But I'm also saying that, like, people are people and they're going to make mistakes. They're going to mess up. If you only have strict rules and regulations, you're in an institution that's very problematic. And of course, you've got a church wound, right? We could talk more about this all day. I could talk more, but I do on my other channel, actually. And I also do in the academy that's opened today. I will drop that link in the pinned comments below. That is a mind, body, soul academy. Come home to self. We're talking embodiment. We're talking alignment. We're talking who you are. There's other coaches there. It is a brilliant endeavor, honestly, because you can't heal in one area of your life and not all the other ones. So the most effective healing is to do it. It's like a community, you know? If you just tried to learn English in school, you're missing 7 other subjects, right? So we have a space so that you can heal in totality. and I will drop that link below. And so we will talk more about these wounds. There are obviously a lot, but if you have the church wound and you want to drop a comment below, by all means do. You want to check out my other YouTube channel. It is Minister Michelina, and I talk about some interesting things there. But again, that's for really if you're Christian or Catholic or something with the Christian God and the Christian Bible. So if it's not for you, it's not for you. That's fine. And I will see you guys on the next video. I apologize for the delay. There's been a lot of weird construction outside of my house, and it's been like messing with my ability to film. But like, comment, share the channel, let me know what's going on below, and then I will talk to you guys on the next video.